Welcome everyone to this federal interagency briefing about managing multi-generational gaps, something we all deal with in the workforce. With us today we have DeVan Brown, the President and CEO of CyQuest Business Solutions. Say hello, DeVan.
Hey, good afternoon everyone. Glad to have you here with us. Thanks.
And on the phone we have Dave Lowe, the Director of Government Solutions. Say hello, Dave.
Hey guys, you guys actually look good today.
So do you, Dave.
Thanks.
And my name is Adam McDermott. I'm the briefing administrator. Quick disclaimer, this event is not affiliated with or endorsed by any agency and is provided to the audience for informational purposes only. All participation in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement by government personnel is not an indication of endorsement or commitment to purchase from any vendor. Bit of housekeeping. In the top corner, one of them, there's a control panel. You can press the red arrow, it will bring up the whole control panel. If you have any questions, you can put it down below and we'll get to it later on during the questions and answers section. You can also raise your hand and you'll be given an audio pin, so we can, if you want, you can call in, if you have a microphone of course, and make sure you put in the audio pin so we can unmute you and hear your lovely voice. And also, if you have any questions that we don't get to today, you can always email us at govsupport@cyquesthr.com. Final bit of housekeeping, there's a sidebar you can grab right there by Dave's finger. And if you want, you can make us bigger, or if you want, you can make us really small, but myself and DeVan look quite dapper today. I don't know why you'd minimize us. So what we will cover today is we'll tell you a little bit about CyQuest, we'll outline why we're here, we'll go through some agency initiatives, tackle multi-generational workforce gaps, we'll have a questions and answers section, we'll tell you how to avoid the gotchas, and we'll give you some procurement options. Quick poll, my biggest staffing issue is, let me open this up, poll open, brilliant. Is it retention? Is it finding qualified people? Is it applicant wait time? Is it your budget, or is it your training? We'll give you a few seconds to answer that poll, and then we'll carry on with the presentation. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the poll, and we'll share the results so we know we're all on the same page. 100% of people had an issue with their budget. DeVan, could you outline something simple or something like they could do to help themselves with their budget?
Sure, and that's really not surprising. That is the #1 answer, because it always comes back to money, even though there may be other underlying issues such as with retention or applicant wait times, but it always comes back to money. Where's the money gonna come from? How to best spend it, and how to use it to the agency's to take care of the agency's most substantial needs. So it always comes back to money, no matter if you're in the federal government or if you're in the commercial sector. It's always about the dollars. So that's no surprise.
No surprise at all. You can see my screen again. Yeah, you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Oh, brilliant. DeVan, could you give us a little bit of information about CyQuest?
Sure, absolutely. Again, I am DeVan Brown, President and CEO of CyQuest Business Solutions. We are headquartered here in Atlanta. We have been in business for 12 years now, since 2004. Our core competencies lie in employee training and development, as well as staff augmentation. We do a lot of retirement plan and employee benefits administration. Some of our larger clients in that area are Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation, PBGC, as well as the Department of State. We also do a lot of staffing and recruiting, and as an HR outsourcing company, we do a lot of compensation studies as well as compensation analysis. And we have 3 primary operations here in Atlanta. Again, is our headquarters. We have an operation in Sarasota, Florida, as well as, of course, Washington, D.C. We are certified 8A firm, as well as DBE and MBE certified, and we are on GSA's professional services schedule 874, which is formerly MOBIS. So that's a little bit about us.
Excellent. We asked before the presentation why some people want to be here and what they want to get out of this. Carol from the Air Force said she could learn how to get younger generations to quit staying on their phone, games, and work more. As I can test, some of my co-workers have the exact same problem. Ellen from the GSA would like if the presentation provides useful, accurate, and realistic information. That's DeVan right there, that's why you have him. And Rebecca from the Navy, if it can address how Veterans First policy has become a veteran's prior federal service, leaving many positions unfulfilled. Unfilled, which is an excellent point. These are some of the initiatives that are coming down on people's heads. We have the executive order about workplace diversity. A few years ago, there was the presidential memorandum about hiring reform in relation to phasing retirement, planning current and future workforce requirements, improving the quality and speed of agency hirings, performance.gov with their hiring and measurements, OPM work life, and some of the agency directives like Department of Commerce Employee Engagement Team Action, that's a mouthful, and the GSA Innovative Workplaces. Onto the meat of this presentation, the generational gaps. 4 generations in the one workplace, first time in history. DeVan, what are some of the challenges of managing multi-generational workforces?
Yep. The challenges can be fairly significant, Adam. I have to admit that as a small business owner myself, it was, or it has been, an issue for me. My wonderful HR manager, who is Melody Barnett, she has been with CyQuest for, I think, about 7 years. Mm-hmm. We were having issues with employee engagement and a little bit of turnover a few years ago, and we did an assessment, and we determined within our own organization that we were not managing our very diverse staff effectively. We had not communicated the importance to our management team on how to manage each generation, how each generation has different needs, wants, and desires. So we created a very detailed training program that teaches our management team, and we've been able to implement it in other organizations on how to effectively manage each group, because each one, again, each group, they've got their own individual needs. The 4 groups are the traditionalists, the baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, which is the millennials. I still have trouble saying that word sometimes, probably because I'm not one, unlike you, Adam. But the traditionalists make up 4% of the workforce now, and the reason is because they tend to be fairly older, retiring as well. The baby boomers make up the largest percentage. I am a boomer, and Dave, are you a boomer as well? I can't remember.
I'm right on the edge of boomerism. I was born in 1964. Thanks for reminding everybody.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were a Gen Xer, so you're right there on the cusp, huh?
I'm a boomer Xer.
A boomer Xer. Okay, got it.
We put in another little sliver just for you, Dave. The 0.01% boomer.
At least everybody knows I'm unique.
That's right. That's right. Well, Dave and I, baby boomers, we make up the largest percentage of the workforce. Generation X makes up the next largest percentage, followed by the millennials. So that's just kind of an overview of each group.
So in terms of characteristics for the 4 generations, DeVan, can you speak about each characteristic for?
Absolutely, and I have to admit that the first group, the traditionalists, happens to be my favorite group to manage, only because, again, they just tend to be more, since they are older, they just tend to be more even-keeled, a little more relaxed. I am fortunate to have, I think, 2 traditionalists now. Up until last year, I had 3. Believe it or not, I had a gentleman who worked for CyQuest until he was 95 years old when he passed away.
Wow.
He was an absolutely fantastic employee. He was a traditionalist in that he was very, very loyal. He wanted to come to work every day and give you 8 hours. He would clock in 5 minutes before 8 and clock out 5 minutes after 5 to make sure he gave you that 8 hours. And
That's amazing.
Bob, we miss Bob dearly. He worked for me for 8 years, I believe, and his desire was to work until the day he passed away, and he did, and we miss Bob.
He's missed.
So some of the key words for the traditionalists are, loyal, very disciplined, and tend to not like a whole lot of change and want to really build a legacy.
Exactly.
Next group, baby boomers. I'm sorry, Adam.
Go on, DeVan. Go on.
Yeah, the baby boomers, which again make up the largest percentage of the workforce. We were born between 1946 and 1964. We're between 52 and 70 years old. We tend to be very optimistic, somewhat idealistic. We tend to be very competitive, but that does not apply to you, Dave, right?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I will shut you down.
And we tend to like the question of authority. We are known by some as the me generation. So those are some of the characteristics of the boomers. Next up, we have Generation X. We're born between 1965 and 1980, so Generation Xers are between 36 years old and 51 years old. With Generation Xers, it's all about title, recognition, and money. They tend to be very, very skeptical. Adam, why are you laughing? You're not into
My group.
Very skeptical and very idealistic. The millennials, Generation Y, which is what our beloved Adam, he falls in this group. They represent 26% of the workforce, and they are 36 years old or younger. Gosh. Keywords for Adam's group, very realistic. Of course, very cyber literate, know everything about cell phones, computers, Google, the internet, everything. So, and personal safety is their number one concern there.
Yes, indeed. Another quick poll. We want to find out who's watching and what generation they fall into because we're nosy. So we'll say we'll launch the poll. Are you a traditionalist, a baby boomer, a Generation Xer, or a Generation Yer? So I'd fall into the millennials, and we got a Xer boomer in Dave, and we got a boomer in DeVan. Okay, we'll give folks another 5 seconds to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the poll, and we'll share the results. And we are split, just like you, Dave, between baby boomers and Generation X.
That does not me. Because
but what you didn't see,
I'm sorry, Dave.
What you didn't see there, what you didn't see it was really 50.01% in my favor because we're more competitive.
Yes. I agree with you, Dave.
Okay. The challenges of managing multi-generational workforces. DeVan, can you speak a little bit about these in terms of how you got to determine the connections and needs of each group?
Yeah, number one, it's very important to identify who's on your individual teams, what their strengths and their weaknesses are, what their ambitions are within not only your group or your team, but the overall organization and how they view their role in that. And most groups are really good with communicating to you what their needs are. Some better than others, such as millennials tend to be very vocal, as well as some Generation Xers. The traditionalists, of course, tend to not be very vocal. Sometimes, I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get information from them, as well as some baby boomers, because with baby boomers, of course, a lot of us are entering into retirement age, and so we tend to not want to create a whole lot of waves. So sometimes getting, information about what we need and, how we think we can best fit within an organization and where our talents lie it can be kind of hard to communicate. So identifying who's in your group, where they are, and where the strengths can best be utilized those are just very, very key, very important things.
Exactly, and as you spoke about their strengths.
Yeah.
And how important is employee engagement, DeVan?
Wow. I mean, I just cannot say it enough about engagement. As my HR manager says, an engaged staff is a happy staff. Engaged employees feel like there's a place for them. They feel like you really value them as individuals, as a part of a team, that they have a voice that you hear. So engagement on a daily basis, not just periodic, not once a week, not once a month, but employees want to feel like they are actively participating and actively contributing to the success of, again, the team as well as the organization. So it's important to communicate that and to keep them engaged.
Exactly, and when we go towards each generation, can you speak a bit about traditionalists?
Yeah. And again, as each generation has different needs and requirements and expectations, it's very important that we as managers understand where our staff, which generation they fit into, to really understand what their needs are. For instance, the traditionalists, they relate to very basic thank yous, just to appreciate what you've done, or maybe some public recognition goes a long way with traditionalists. Even just a handwritten little sticky note on their desk when they come in the morning goes a long way with traditionalists. Baby boomers tend to like freedom. Dave, I'm sure you can kind of relate to this. I mean, you spend a lot of time, and effort honing your skills, so you don't want to feel like you're being held back in any way. So we tend to like our freedom. So it's important to give baby boomers the freedom to express their abilities to perform in their position. Titles and offices and recognition is very important also to boomers. The Generation Xers, they like to be treated as individuals, and they don't like to be micromanaged. They tend to shun on micromanagement. They like the freedom to manage themselves. When assigning work, a lot of times they're going to ask you why, because they want to know the importance of what they're doing and how it fits into the overall operations of the team and the company and the overall goals of the organization. So Xers also love to learn and thrive on challenges. So make sure that with Gen Xers that they are engaged by challenging them consistently. Millennials love to learn, of course, very information technologically savvy. They know everything about the internet. Of course, some of them, well, a lot of aspects of the internet were created by boomers. Google, YouTube, cell phones.
Actually, I want to jump in there real quick. Dave made the slideshow, and you can tell how old he is because he's putting down advanced cell phones. Dave, they're smartphones.
They're advanced smartphones.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is an advanced cell phone? But okay, thank you for explaining that to us, Dave. Millennials want and demand immediate feedback. Don't wait until the end of the week or the end of a project to provide feedback, because they tend to like consistent feedback. They like to know the importance of what they're doing. They like to know that they are being appreciative. And millennials tend to function really well in a team environment because millennials like to collaborate. They want to make a difference in what they do on a daily basis. They resent being treated like children, but I think that applies to all generations. I don't think anyone really likes to be treated like a child, but millennials tend to be very vocal when they feel they are being treated like children. And work, believe it or not, is not their number one priority. You know, life outside of the job is really important. Work is to millennials is just a means for them to do what they want to do after work. That's how they tend to.
I can tell you about my friend.
I'll throw in just a little bit there about that, because if you think about the difference between especially the boomers, because that's the majority is it's almost split equally between the three groups, and the difference between the boomers who their desire is for going after something versus someone who is looking at a job as a means to an end it almost creates it certainly creates a problem, since the managers are likely to be the boomers, and the workforce is likely to be at this point the millennials. So that creates a tremendous amount of tension unless you start to absorb what the differences are, and then be able to apply your management skills and efforts towards meeting the needs of the people that you desire to get the outcomes from, right?
Yeah, and that's a great point, Dave, because that brings it all full circle on the importance of recognizing where staff, which generation your staff fall into, whereby you recognize what their specific needs are and what their talents are, and those talents and needs can be connected with others within the groups who may have an appreciation for those talents. For instance, traditionalists and millennials tend to work well together because traditionalists, they don't know a whole lot about technology, whereas millennials do. The traditionalists want to know about technology. The millennials tend to be very, very patient, and of course they want to share their knowledge. So it's good to match millennials with traditionalists in this particular example with technology. So again, it's important to realize what generation your staff falls into and manage them accordingly. It's important. Managing them individually is very important. Recognizing what their skills and expertise are is important, and recognizing what the overall characteristics of each generation are is extremely important as well.
I agree with that too, and just to piggyback on that, and we may talk about this in a little bit, in particular to the folks that are retiring. One of the biggest assets that you have are your legacy and your boomers who are looking to retire, being able to tap, and the desire for them to share their information to the younger generation as well, to get that as part of your plan and your policy, because otherwise all 30 to 40 years of experience goes right out the door.
That's right. That's right. And Dave, that's a great point, because traditionalists and more of the boomers are looking to leave a legacy. That's one of the key characteristics of traditionalists, is that they want to leave a legacy. So they're looking to share their knowledge and their expertise. And you have other generations who are looking to kind of absorb that, the millennials in particular. And the millennials are a growing generation, so it's important to really tap into that generation, because of how many will be continue to enter into that workforce from that generation.
Exactly. We have another quick poll. about my department can use some HR training help in, let me share this. Is it in developing and meeting goals? Is it in effectiveness? Or is it in general HR issues? We'll give folks a few seconds to answer the poll, and then we'll proceed with the presentation. General HR issues. Effectiveness and developing. All right, we'll give 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll go ahead and close the poll, and I'll share the results. 100% of people said general HR issues. Oh boy, they can range from anything from, I won't say some of the things, but
Yeah,
I actually would like.
Adam, I mean that's kind of, I mean, that's a broad area. That consists of everything from employee training and development, from employee engagement, staffing, recruiting. So that's kind of a that answer does not surprise me. It doesn't, because it encompasses a lot.
Yeah, one of my cousins actually works in HR with the company, and she says on a daily basis you get things from people not getting paid on time all the way down to so and so is now using my locker and I want my old locker back.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So we have payroll issues and employee relations issues. Yes.
Yeah. Effectively managing multi-generational workforces. How do you do it for each generation, DeVan?
Yeah, we've talked about this briefly. Traditionalists, again, they want to leave a legacy, so it's important to keep them plugged in, to keep them engaged, to continue to communicate with them. Again, just a quick note, they really prefer, that you talk to them, come to the desk as opposed to sending them an email. But keeping them plugged in is very important. The benefits, they've got lots of, like they mentioned, they have lots of knowledge and experience, so we want to tap into that. Younger workers, of course, can definitely benefit from that via mentorships. Lessons learned, they've been in their positions, they've been in the workforce for a very, very long time, so they've got a lot of knowledge that they can share that's still very, very relevant today. They've developed relationships that can be important to the organization, to the department, that can be passed on to some of the other generations as well. Management, it's important, again, to value their knowledge and experience, to recognize it, and to build the relationship or build avenues whereby they can connect with younger generations, because, again, they are looking for opportunities to leave a legacy, to transfer some of the knowledge that they have learned to the younger generations. So, again,
we really encourage.
Yeah.
We really encourage folks to develop a strong mentorship program, because if you're not focused on it, you'll find that you won't do it, and you'll think about it and you'll say, "Man, I wish we had." But really developing that as part of your workforce development program meets the personal desires and just personal well-being for individuals. It feeds so much into their soul that it's very valuable for everybody.
Yeah. Mentorship needs to be intentional, and it needs to be a part of our daily philosophy as traditionalists and baby boomers, transition out of the workforce. Baby boomers, keep them on board, of course, for as long as you possibly can. You have more and more that are retiring, more and more are, at retirement age, or some are maybe a little bit outside of retirement age, but most are at, I don't know if early retirement is still out there, but most boomers are, getting into early retirement age, which is 55 plus. So a lot of knowledge, again, that you want to kind of tap into. Boomers, again, are the mean generation, technically savvy. We tend to want a good work-life balance, so it's important to realize and recognize that is a need of baby boomers. And again, we talked about retaining their knowledge and experience for as long as possible. That's a benefit. Again, work-life balance is important. Independence is also very, very important to boomers. teams. Boomers tend to function well in teams, but they want to know exactly where they fit on the team and what their responsibilities are. Because again, as the me generation, we tend to want to know what our obligations are and what the expectations are, and knowing how what we do, the importance of what we do fits into the overall scheme of things, and the goals and objectives of the organization is very, very important. So help them enjoy more of their work life at work.
Exactly.
Generation X, this is the group that you want to start developing into leaders today and tomorrow, because again, this is a very, very large generation that's moving into moving some of the boomers out. So it's important to start developing them into the managers and the leaders that your organization needs. Gen Xers tend to be very, very well educated, and they are great candidates for leadership positions within a company. So it's important to recognize leadership capabilities within each Gen Xer and capitalize on those capabilities. When Xers are managed, you want to create an environment whereby there's a lot of dependence, a lot of independence, a lot of freedom. They like to be consistently challenged, so change can help with challenging them, giving them the challenge that they're looking for.
Exactly, and on to the millennials.
Yeah. Last but not least, we have the millennials. They want to be trained, they want to be nurtured, but at the same time, they don't want to be, as mentioned before, don't want to be treated as children. They desire independence. Challenges are fun, are great, and finding avenues for fun at work is also good. That is something that I can definitely attest to, because having a staff with a lot of millennials, they are consistently challenging you to not be as stringent as maybe you would be with some of the other generations. So they're looking for a little more freedom, a little more fun, such as casual Fridays, pizza days.
And would that be one of the reasons why you see an awful lot of startups who are full of millennials? They tend to have an unconventional office full of pool table lying around or a foosball table. It's very unconventional in a sense.
That's right. And that's not anything. That's a great example, Adam, because I don't think that's anything a traditionalist or even some boomers would really appreciate. Whereas millennials, I mean, that's a great example of the type of freedom that they
think about that a little bit in context of managing millennials in the structure of a federal office building, because you can't have a foosball table and a pool table in there, otherwise CNN will come in there and rip you to pieces, right? So
that's right.
You have to be creative in being able to identify other ways to be able to relate to and manage to reach that part of them to kind of access what makes them tick, right? So that's the other part of it.
That's right. And that's a great point, Dave, because again, there's certain things that maybe an organization, a commercial organization, can do that federal or a government agency cannot do, but they're creative ways to have fun. So this challenges us to be a little more creative. Those of us that are in the federal arena, we just got to be a little more creative. We can't bring in a foosball table, but we can certainly do some other things, such as maybe ice cream socials, planning some things after work. Something to again, something that everyone will enjoy and keep people plugged into.
Yeah,
great point, Dave. When you're managing this particular group, the millennials, they want to feel as if they are a partner. Their efforts are treated as a partnership. They are treated as a partnership, or the relationship is treated as a partnership, as opposed to boss-employee relationship. relationship is very important to them. Want to be treated as equal, you know, a part of a group. We're all in this together. Let's go team attitude always works. Individualism is very, very important for millennials because they are great as individual contributors, but they also want to know the importance of their contribution, and they want to be told how important their contribution is. Whereas, for instance, the traditionalists tend to not really care about that, and many of the baby boomers as well. And create volunteerism as a part of their culture as well to effectively manage that helps.
Excellent. We'll move on to the questions and answers. We have a couple here that we got before the presentation. Will there be more briefings? Yes, there will be. There'll be one in October with CyQuest again, and DeVan will be joining us. Yes. Can I get a sample scope of work for this kind of training program? Dave, do you want to speak about this?
Sure. If you guys, we can certainly develop or give you what we've used in the past or other agencies have used in the past that could be beneficial for you in the procurement side or in the program side. So if you just reach out to me or DeVan, and we'll be glad to address it specifically what you would like to accomplish, and we'll get you something that'll work for your group for sure.
Yeah, and we've done something as simple as, you know, going into an organization and just help to identify the 4 generations and train managers on how to effectively manage each generation, but also break it down and become a little more granular in that identifying the particular needs of each individual within the team. That's done, of course, by interviews and shadowing, you know, what they do on a daily basis, and just talking to them about where they are now, what they're getting from the managers, and what they may be missing. So we've assisted organizations in identifying those particular needs. So that's just one example.
Yeah, and we have another question. Do you also provide staff augmentations?
Yes, we do. That is another one of our core competencies in addition to, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to employee training and development, because we are a full-service HR outsourcing company. So we have many past performance success stories on going into organizations, identifying particular staffing issues, staffing needs, and making suggestions for staff improvement and staff augmentation that will move the organization from where it is now to where it wants to be.
And just to piggyback on that, DeVan, and that is that oftentimes, well, there's 2 different types of operations that we do. One is we'll look at it specifically within the lens of what you're trying to accomplish, and oftentimes be able to make recommendations that can trim staff than just put warm bodies in a seat. And a lot of times that's what agencies are needing right now, even though that's not normally how it's thought of. They just look at a particular contract.
That's right.
and people there, which we can fill too, by the way. If all it is you got a clearly defined individual or individuals that are in the seats right now, we can certainly either assume those individuals. If you want to change who the prime is, we can do that. Otherwise, we can also do it from the standpoint of saying, okay, here are the specific qualifications, and fill it that way. So either way, but most importantly for most of our clients, it's looking at what it is that the outcomes that you really want, and how you can do it most cost effectively and in line with your mission, right? So that's real important. I do have one more question here from Patricia, who says, how can we get a copy of the slide presentation? And I'll let you answer that, Adam.
Yeah, we'll be sending you a recap email with plenty of links, so you'll be accessing. You get the whole thing really. We also have a couple of questions here. We've got 2 questions. I see someone's raised their hand. We will definitely get to you momentarily. We've got Diane from the VA who said, my team is virtually located at 5 different stations. How do I best manage those employees who range from 25 years to 60 of age effectively? DeVan, would you like to take that?
I'll jump in on that. That's exactly the biggest issues that we have, and this shows exactly why a great training program in looking at the multi-generational components as well as your traditional traditional analysis for the types of personalities that you have on staff and things like that, to build it around the people that you have, and then potentially identifying the gaps, but really looking at the differences in those employees and the tensions, identifying them, and then a lot of times just addressing the tensions or the reasons why they're there helps to do that, helps to identify those. But that's exactly what we're talking about here, is a training program exactly like that.
That's right.
Excellent. We have one more question here. It's from Carol in the Air Force. How to get younger generations to take initiative and clean up offices without being told?
Hey, you guys figure that out? Whatever we got, we could. I think if we could bottle that one, we could sell it to every parent who has a teenager too.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Dave. Exactly what it kind of sounds like, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, all right, we do have some questions. Let me just check the control panel. Somebody has raised their hands. Patricia. So how do we go about? Attendees can be unmuted until they enter their PIN. So Patricia, if you enter your PIN, hand raised for 80 minutes.
So that might have been from earlier. Yeah, Patricia, you're gonna have to put in your PIN if you wanna talk. But otherwise, you did ask a question about the slides. So if that was it, you got that answer too.
Hang on, after. So click to unmute. Patricia, are you there?
I think you unmuted somebody else, because I don't think you can unmute Patricia.
Yeah, Patricia is. Oh, there she is. Attendees can be unmuted until they enter.
All right, I'll send her the audio pin if she wants to plug it in.
Yeah.
And we can certainly address those. We don't want to keep everybody too much longer.
Patricia, you can always contact us at govsupport@CyQuestHR.com, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, brilliant. We got one more section we'll fire through. I know we're running a little bit late on time, and it is about you expect a HR requirement. We'll skip this. We'll go on to the avoiding the gotchas. Well, I don't know. Dave, we do the poll?
Yeah, sure. Sure, you could do the poll, because this will give us an idea if we need to jump on anything right this moment.
I expect a HR requirement. Do you expect either immediately, Q1 2017, Q2 2017, Q3 2017, or are you just not sure? I'll leave that up there for just 1 second. We'll take it down. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and I will share the results. And 100% are not sure. Okay, we'll run through the how to avoid the gotchas. This is one of Dave's favorite sections. First of all, you got to realize that you are part of a multi-generational group. Identify who is who. Access the needs of your group based on your mission. Identify quality vendors to help, because they can help look for multi-generational experience and advanced training techniques. You got to establish and use BPAs, because they give you faster access to talent, they give you industry knowledge and federal experience and expertise. And then one more poll, and that will be this is the final, oh no, it's the final poll we're going to launch. I need help with staff augmentation, training for my department, developing a BPA for HR services, or understanding more about CyQuestHR. Let us know what everyone is out for, and we'll help with you. Yeah, we'll give you 5 more seconds to answer that. 4, 3, 2, 1. And 100% of people are looking for training for their departments.
Which is
Can you help with that?
Everyone can use more training, and the fact that we have people out there who recognize that is a wonderful thing. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Finally, Dave, can you speak about some of the procurement options?
Oh, yeah, sure. In fact, you mentioned one before. You might want to shut down that.
Oh, yeah.
You need to hide the results, I think.
Apologize.
Yeah,
there we go.
No worries. So procurement options are, as DeVan said earlier, a PSS schedule and and access to that. BPAs, I'm actually in DC working with different folks now to establish BPAs for fiscal year-end spending. It usually helps out a great deal to be able to exercise those. And if you need any particular set-asides like Hub Zone or 8A, we're 8A for the next, about 25 days, something, 20 days.
That's about right.
Yep. So we will be graduating our 8A shortly, but we also have 8A partners and women-owned, service disabled-owned, whatever you need to meet for your goals for this year, we can certainly help that either directly or through partners.
Sure.
Just that comes with the way that we do business here in the federal space. So with that.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Dave. In terms of briefing follow-up, we will send you all links to initiatives and memoranda. We'll send you the PowerPoint, any video links. We'll let you know about the questions and answers, purchasing options, GSA, prime partners. We'll give you a response to your specific needs, and we'll give you some sample SOWs. And we want to say thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, DeVan, for being so helpful.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone joining us. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dave, for offering some valuable input.
Every once in a while.
And I'm Adam McDermott. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, take care, everyone.
Thank you.